Okay, so here is the data table for your precipitation and net ionic equation activity. And this is the first lab we're going to do. Unfortunately, you're not here, so I've already set it up. I've put potassium chromate all the way down, copper sulfate all the way down to 1 drop of each. They're half on black and half on white, so you can see if there's a white precipitate, it might show up better on black. So I am going to take my silver nitrate. Silver nitrate is stored in this brown bottle because it will degrade with light. And so, if you notice, now it feels like you're in school, right? If you notice, my silver nitrate is here. So I'm going to put silver nitrate on all these solutions that I've already put a dot on, and we'll see if there's a precipitate or not. Okay, so here we have a color change. It turned purple, and it's definitely cloudy. It's going brown now, so kind of a brownish precipitate for sure. Silver nitrate reacts with a lot. It's good. Okay, here's with copper nitrate, and it stayed clear on both sides, so I have no precipitate there. Potassium hydroxide and silver nitrate. We've got a light brown, disgusting precipitate. It's not clear anymore. Let's see. Our lead nitrate and silver nitrate. We have no precipitate. It stayed clear. I know it's kind of hard to see there. Sodium carbonate, silver nitrate. We've got a white cloudy precipitate there, and potassium chloride and silver nitrate. We've got a white cloudy precipitate there as well. So my next line is potassium chloride. So here we have potassium chloride. And, feel free to come in and redo this at lunch. So it was yellow, it stayed yellow, and it's perfectly clear, so there's no precipitate there. With the copper sulfate, there's no precipitate, no color change. No precipitate, no color change for the potassium hydroxide, the lead nitrate, and potassium chloride, and no precipitate. And we have no precipitate with our sodium carbonate. And it's a group 1 element, and they usually don't have any precipitate. So now I have sodium carbonate, and I'm going to put that with potassium chromate. I've got no precipitate. With the copper sulfate, I do have a light blue precipitate. It went cloudy. I didn't really have a color change because that copper sulfate was blue, but it was clear blue. So now my precipitate is a light blue precipitate there. I've got no precipitate with the sodium hydroxide, and here's my, potassium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, and lead nitrate. Let's do another drop there. I've got no precipitate. Okay, and now I am on my lead nitrate with potassium chromate. We've got 2 clear yellow solutions, and they stayed clear, so no precipitate. We've got a brownish yellow precipitate with our copper sulfate and lead nitrate. Potassium hydroxide and lead nitrate. I've got no precipitate there. Okay, now we are on potassium hydroxide. Let's see where I am. Potassium hydroxide. What did you put in your data table that you thought would happen here? Is this working out according to the first data table that you wrote? So potassium hydroxide and potassium chromate. You have no precipitate. potassium hydroxide and copper sulfate. We have, do we have a precipitate there? It looks like I do have a very light precipitate with this guy, okay? And you can see it's gone a little cloudy there, okay? And I'm just going to make sure these are all potassium hydroxides, and I know this is a weak solution, so I want to double check. Nope, no precipitate. Okay, and then I have my copper sulfate, and my potassium chromate is my last guy here at the bottom. And we've got a brownish precipitate. And how do we know about the precipitate? Well, it is no longer a homogeneous solution. It's a heterogeneous solution. I can't see through all of it, and it makes it cloudy. Okay, so there's your data table, and now you're going to take all this data and you're going to write net ionic equations where needed.